Everyone, welcome to Shayna if you are new here. I am not a farmer. I'm not an experienced gardener. My husband and I began gardening last year, so we are now in our second season. Last year, like I said, we were not experienced, so we're self-taught in everything that we have learned thus far. I'm actually going to be making a video of a sort of compilation of our harvests from last year, so come back soon if you want to check that out. We've been learning a lot. We have begun studying everything in regards to amending the soil and crop rotation and such, but we live in this city. We started with a very small area, which last year we quickly expanded. This year, 2 days ago, we actually doubled the size of our garden. So we put up an additional, we say it's temporary fencing. We would like to secure it at some point, but as time and money permits. So anyway, we doubled the gardening area, and I will show you that here in this video. Here's an overview of the garden. 2 days ago, we put up the additional fencing all the way around this section. So if you look all the way to here, this was like the original gate, just makeshift, that we used last year, and it closed to here. We opened it, and then we extended all the way to that one over there. We tilled this half of the ground. Well, we started to. It needs another go at tilling. I just put some transplants in this area over here. This wood here, we had that beam last year just kind of as a temporary setup. This one is extra. We just threw it there recently. We're going to use these to make some raised beds up in that area. We're very excited for this grow season. We are behind. Today's temperature is heat wave. I know not to complain because we're in the upper 90s, but I have friends that are currently experiencing 120 degrees. So I know not to complain. I'm just stating the current situation. We are currently experiencing a heat wave. So I've been going in and out the last few days trying to accomplish gardening, though I also don't want to have heat exhaustion. My family and I live in zone 7 for gardening. We had started a ton of our seedlings, and then we went out of state and we hoped for rain. I transplanted a lot to the ground. It didn't rain, not once. So unfortunately, we came home to everything, mostly everything had died. I believe we had about 50 tomato plants. We came home, only 3 had survived. While that was unfortunate, we got busy, we got back to work, we started a whole new round of seedlings, and since then, this was just over a month ago, things have come to life. Our garden was nothing. And now it is a sea of green. The original area that we began with this year, the 3 out of the 4 walls, if you would, of the gardening area, we have lined with corn. Out of that corn, I would say there's approximately 50 that have come up. I think most of them have come up, and we have about 15 to 20 more seedlings. I'm actually tempted to go and put some more in the ground in the newer gardening area as well, since we seem to be doing very well with our corn this year. Last year, we only grew a few cobs, and we actually had deer. Yes, deer in the city. They entered our garden and they nibbled on our corn. But it looks like we're going to have a great harvest of corn this year, so we're very thrilled about that. Mixed in with the corn on the outer edges, we have some sunflowers. We also have squash. Now, the overview of our garden, if I were to say what do we currently have the most of, it would be potatoes. This whole section here, kind of like a huge rectangle. It's potatoes. And then I was weeding. I probably pulled thousands of little weeds out of here already. like on the outer edges of the potato plants, but we actually have a lot of purslane down there. So due to lack of time, and also I'm kind of just experimenting to see what it will really do. Everything else seems to be thriving around it. The purslane's actually edible, but it's kind of acting as a ground covering, so maybe it will help keep the moisture in around the other plants as well. Squash, corn, and tomatoes. Though the tomato seedlings are very, very small, we have many tomato plants within the garden that are already like 1.5 feet tall. These are our volunteer tomato plants. The seed had fallen last year, so we had plenty of tomatoes fall to the ground. And some of those seeds, they were actually protected by ground covering and the snow, and they survived, and now they have come to life and are growing into new plants. So we have many tomato plants that have come up, so we're thrilled about that. Initially began with this section here, from there to here, and then we decided to double it. So last year we ended up having about 100 tomato plants in this section, and now it is mostly filled with squash and zucchini plants. They were definitely overcrowded, but they grew. Some of them were very, very tall. And I also have about 100 seedlings, I want to say, that are growing, and I'll be transplanting. This is a tomato. These are weeds. Let's pull those, get them out of here. This is called horseweed, horsetail. There's a few names for it. We don't need that. Cardboard is working amazingly for ground coverage as far as if you don't want weeds to grow. Actually, I have a lot of cardboard. I'm thinking once I will pull up most of this purslane here. Maybe I'll lay cardboard around the plants. Here we have another nice zucchini plant, putting on nice blossoms. We currently have one red bell pepper and one green, the same, growing as well. We have one large eggplant plant producing, and it has one nicely, okay, this dishwasher is finished. We have one nicely established eggplant that is growing, and we can see more beginning on the flower blossoms. Green pepper plant, beefsteak, red pepper plant, cherry tomato plant, beefsteak, eggplant, Roma. We've already harvested some potatoes. The little bitty potatoes we threw back into the soil, and we figured we would just leave them out in the garden, and they're already growing again, if you would. So we harvested potatoes, quite a bit of kale, bok choy. We picked one radish yesterday. We harvested quite a bit of herbs, lots of basil, mint. We've been making some homemade mojitos. We actually have alcohol, but it's mostly decor. I personally cannot have alcohol. My husband, he'll sip at it here and there. I drink a virgin mojito. So the mint is thriving. I'm actually going to pick some of it and transplant it to a different planter to give to my parents for one of their properties, so they can put it down and let it spread out over the years. We've been harvesting lots of thyme. I wish we could harvest actual thyme. We also have dill. I've only picked a little bit of that. I'm hoping it will continue to thrive, especially because I'm planning on making pickles this year. This past year I began canning for the first time as well, and we made lots and lots of pickles. Though I don't know how our cucumber harvest will turn out this year, I'm going to do some like pickled zucchini. Same thing as a pickle. You can make them sweet, tangy, spicy. So I'm hoping that we have success with the dill, because I would love to use homegrown dill with our pickles. Filled with thousands of seed pods. I collected some yesterday. I'll probably come out and snip some more today. Here are some of our volunteer tomato plants. These here, over there, mixed in there. You can see them throughout. So I didn't intentionally plant tomatoes in between the zucchini, but alas, they are there. Staring at my Orgain bottle, but it's empty. So when we're finished chatting, I'm going to go in and rehydrate. My daughter is over on the computer. The puppy is napping on the couch. My son just ran off. I think he went to visit his father. My husband works from home. He's still working from home. He'll be returning in a couple of months to the actual physical place of employment, but he's currently working from our bedroom. He's in there all day, every day on the phones. I do have quite a bit of flower seeds. I attempted to grow some last year. They didn't really grow. So now I'm wondering if some of our weeds are actually those flowers. But successfully, we do have a few marigolds coming up, some sunflowers. What else do we have? I would have to check. But I do want to increase our flowers. I had some borage and lavender growing, but unfortunately, they were some of the things that had died when we were out of state. So for this garden tour video, I feel like our garden is very it's very green. A lot of the stuff hasn't yet produced its fruits, flowers, vegetables, etc. Some of the squash varieties that we are attempting to grow, which I have to double check on some of the seedlings to see which ones are alive. I don't remember when we came back from being out of state, when everything had died, I went into a kind of, not a panic mode, but I had the feeling of urgency of I need to start new seedlings and get them into the ground as fast as we can, or we won't have harvests. So I don't remember if I really started many delicata squash. Originally I did. So I think I may have a couple delicata squash, spaghetti squash, acorn squash. The ones that I do know that we have are a more traditional yellow squash, pink banana jumbo. First year attempting that. Butternut squash, we had great success with them last year. I am also studying food preservation, and butternut squash has held up amazingly. We still have quite a few that we harvested in September. They're perfect. We cooked one last week. It is still perfect. So we are definitely growing more of the butternut squash. One plant gave us about 10 last year. Butternut squash fries. You could roast it. The possibilities are endless. You could use it for breads, sweets, cupcakes, that sort of thing. Going on a rant with the butternut squash, but that is one of the varieties that we are growing as well. And then lots of zucchini. We have Black Beauty zucchini and Dark Star zucchini. Pumpkins that I attempted. Again, this is something I need to check on. I think I may only have one of each that are living, but we have New England pie pumpkin, and we have Cinderella pumpkin. That is a surprise for the kids. First year with that. Our watermelon last year that we grew is Crimson Sweet. This year we have also added the Moon and Stars, though I think we only have one seedling, so I'm not sure if we'll have a harvest with that. There are many flaws in our system, but it's working. Our stuff grew last year, even though there were weeds. I do try to keep on top of them. There's just so many. Down here I have Ringo Fire and cayenne thin, cayenne pepper seedlings starting. Some more tomato varieties. Something was rummaging through here, something got knocked down. Actually, a few things were knocked down. But yeah, you can see the kale is pretty much done for. The zucchini are looking very good. Look how massive these leaves are. They're beautiful. More of our volunteer plants, looking well, putting on flowers. We haven't harvested any zucchini yet. We haven't reached that stage of the season here where we live, but in the next couple of weeks we definitely will. Looks like we have two down there that are starting to grow. Tomatoes looking incredible. We have various squash. Everything's fine, it'll bounce back once it cools down. And anyway, so I just took a moment here and started training that one on the fencing. This one as well. This one's a little shy, a little too short, but in the next day or so I'll definitely keep an eye on him and put him on the fence. They'll be able to grow up, sprawl out, and that'll help minimize the bug exposure from the ground. And they'll be able to get a lot of nice breeze and air in them. Some onions. We've already removed onion blooms to save seed. I'm going to go ahead and remove that soon. Those are newer. Again, wilting a little bit, they'll be okay. And then this here looks kind of like lettuce from a distance. These are all actually basil. And upcoming plans are to continue tilling this area, the whole area, and also removing at least the rest of the top of this tree. And then we have to carry that out, cut into smaller pieces. And then we have those stumps we need to finish removing as well. The kids have been picking berries every day. I saw the birds trying to get after them yesterday, but the kids had already picked the most ripe. Seems that the birds only want them when they're very dark in color. So as long as we pick them early in the morning first, I don't think we'll have too much of a problem with the birds. Doing things a little backwards. I'm going to put the camera down before it overheats. I'm going to go in and water more of the garden again, and then jump inside and kind of do like the intro and the voiceover for this video. I hope that you've enjoyed seeing a little bit of our garden progression, how things currently are. I hope you are encouraged. If we could do it, you could do it. You're trying to grow some food as well. It's definitely doable. If you have a window, if you have a front porch, a back porch, patio area, even if you don't have a yard, you could do container gardening for sure. Thank you so much for joining us today. That you're all doing well. Thanks again for stopping by, and we will see you soon. Bye everyone.